everybody. Hello, and welcome tonight. I am so excited about this, what I am calling Moo-Moos. Moo-Moos. Mixing, and musing. That's talking about a little bit of this and that. So welcome tonight and come on in and let me know that you are here. I'm so excited about this. I have been getting lots and lots of comments and positive feedback about these segments that I'm doing, something that I kind of like fell into because this is really not my area. But I do know that I can talk. Welcome, Miss Marvinette. So glad to see you tonight. Would you go ahead on and like, tag, share with your clique, your crew, your those in your circle. Go ahead on and click tonight. Again, I'm so excited about this segment that I have started, and I'm going to call it an occasional series. So that means that it may not be every week, but certainly I'm going to try to do it as often as possible. So again, welcome to my new segment called Moo-Moos Mixing. This is my handy mixer, and of course musing, talking about this and that. So I want everybody, as you are coming in, to like, share, tag somebody, bring them in this. You know, we all have a circle, we all have a crew, and we all have a clique, a church. Bring them on in. And if you know somebody that would love to be in this segment, or you want them to hear what it is that I'm doing over here, then you can direct them to my YouTube channel at Sherri L.B. Jackson. Sherri L.B. Jackson. So again, welcome to Moo-Moos Mixing and Musing with Chaplain Sherri, Coach Sherri, your community pastor Sherri, soon to be Dr. Sherri, Sherri from the 800 block of Mooney Avenue. So make sure that when you come in, you go ahead on and like, share it, please share it, and or tag somebody and bring them in this space. I want to make sure that you can hear me well. So if you are already here and you hear me, please let me know that you can hear me. Good evening, Miss Yolanda. Good evening. So glad to see you in Moo-Moos Mixing and Musing with Coach Sherri, Chaplain Sherri, your community pastor Sherri, and Sherri from the 800 block of Mooney Avenue. I'm so excited again to be bringing this to you. My friends have been laughing at me because they say, Sherri, we don't know what you're going to do. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do either from day to day. It just comes to me, Spirit gives it to me, and I just go with it. And if it doesn't work, well, I don't do that anymore. So come on in here and let us have a good time as I am mixing or baking a Philadelphia cream cheese cake. Out of all of the kitchen going on, baking is probably the thing that I love to do most. I don't do a lot of it anymore, but you never know. I may start back doing more. I got my cooking, my baking prowess, or my baking skills, or my baking love for baking from two people. My grandmother, thus her Moo-Moo, my grandmother, the late Viola Sims, Darden Sims, who died in 2015 at the age of 100 years old. And she was a master baker. She did it all. She had those special pans, and she had the mixer. She had it all. And I also give honor to my food service or my home economics teacher, the late Ella Lowe Zanders from Hammond High School in Hammond, Louisiana, where I took several years with her. And after I graduated high school and she retired, then she did baking from home. And when I would come home for the Christmas holidays, then I would go to her home, and that home would smell of cakes and flavors and all of that, and I helped her to do that. And so these segments are dedicated to my grandmother, Viola Sims, and my home ec teacher, Ella Lowe Zanders, who are both in the ancestral realm now. So I give honor to them, and I believe that it is their shoulders that I am standing up on as I am in the kitchen when it comes to baking. So again, let me just I have to give you a disclaimer. That I am not an expert baker. I am not an expert baker. Hello, my sister, Pastor Bianca. So glad to see you on tonight. I know you say, what is she doing? I have to laugh at my own self sometimes. But I have to give you this disclaimer that I am not an expert baker. Now, while you may find some things that I am doing that you may, find that may be helpful, but I'm not a master baker. So we are not looking for my techniques or anything like that. But I love doing it. I'm not an expert baker, but what I am confident in my gifts, my callings, and my credentials as a preacher, as a chaplain, and as a scholar. I will offer some of my best to you when it comes to preaching, when it comes to biblical interpretation, when it comes to pastoral care. I will offer you that. So again, welcome to Moo-Moos, Mixing and Musing with Coach Sherri, Chaplain Sherri, your community pastor Sherri, soon to be Dr. Sherri, and Sherri from the 800 block of Mooney Avenue. Welcome, Margaret Brown. My mom is here. Please salute her. She's here. She celebrated a birthday on Saturday, and I know she is trying to figure out what is she doing now. Well, tonight I am making a Philadelphia cream cheese cake. I am making a Philadelphia cream cheese cake. This is a recipe that I picked up from Miss Ella Zanders, my home ec teacher. This is not one that I make all the time. Now, my 7-up pound cake, which you saw me doing the night Thanksgiving Eve, is kind of like the one that people always want me to make. But I am going to make a Philadelphia cream cheese cake, and perhaps next week, if I'm up to it, we may work with a red velvet cake. Now, I know it's going to be after Christmas, but you may find something helpful for New Year's. So let us go. Now, on the agenda tonight, as far as the musings is concerned, I want to talk about, now of course our conversations can go any way, but I do want to talk about, again, the Preachers Academy. I want to talk about Joseph versus Boaz, and I want to talk about Mary's song, the Magnificat, and anything else that you may bring in. Pastor Bianca, this here actually is a community cake. This is a community cake that I have promised somebody that I have to get out. I have to get out. So this one is a community cake. But if you, when you are in the area and we get together, I'll make sure that you have, some cake. Blessings, Kason Hickson, Leroy Williams, thank you guys for joining me. I need you to go like, share, tag, bring somebody in from your clique, your crew, or your circle, or even your church, and bring them in. So we're going to make this Philadelphia cream cheese. And so you know, mostly the base of the cake is going to start with the butter. So I'm going to put in 2 sticks of butter, and I'm going to mix those 2 sticks of butter, and I put them out earlier today. I put them out earlier today before I left for work today, so they will be softened. Otherwise, if I would have forgotten to take them out, then I would have put them in the microwave just to soften them a little bit. So welcome Dr. Irie. Welcome to, welcome to Moo-Moos. Moo-Moos, I'm in my grandmother's Moo-Moo. My grandmother is no longer here. She died in 2015 at the age of 100 years old, and she was a master baker. So any inspiration that I have is coming from her and my home ec teacher, or my food service teacher, Ella Zanders. So we're going to talk about the Preachers Academy. Again, we are going to talk about, thank you for sharing. We're going to talk about Joseph versus Boaz, and I didn't know that. I was just talking about me, and I didn't know that resonated with so many people. And then I want to conclude with Mary's song. And for those of you who are asking, is this a community cake? Whenever you come down here, Dr. Irie, Dr. Jamie, Pastor Bianca, you got it. So this is a Philadelphia cream cheesecake that I did promise somebody, and that's what we're doing tonight. So this cake calls for 2 sticks of butter and 1 stick of margarine. Now some people use 3 sticks of butter, but I'm going to use 2 sticks of butter, that's real butter, and 1 stick of margarine, because that's how Miss Zanders told me to do it. Right? That's how Miss Zanders told me to do it. So I've already put in 1 stick, and then I am putting in my 2nd stick. So I wanted to start the agenda by talking about something that is very dear to me, and I am excited. I'm so excited about. There's just something when you have clarity in something, notice the word that I'm using. When you have clarity in something, then that means that you can go to the next step to bringing that thing to fruition. You can bring that to fruition, right? So, I finally have clarity on the Preachers Academy. As you know, I graduate. When do I graduate, class? Because I've talked about it a long time. When do I graduate? Let's say it together. May 18th, 2024. May 18th, 2024. I graduate. Once I cross that stage, be it resolved. I need y'all to catch this. I am not sitting in another classroom to for a grade, for a research paper, for none of it, right? After I get this doctor of ministry, it is time to put in some work. It is May 18th, get it right, May 18th, 2024. It is time to put in some work, and I consulted with my coach today because I have been invited to participate in this. I was invited to participate in this this preaching cohort, right? And I felt in my own self that I didn't want to do any more of that. I didn't want to do any more of that. Now, that doesn't mean that I will not continue learning, but it's time for me to build my own thing. It's time for me. I have put in the work. I have gotten the credentials. I have, for a grade. What? Tell them again, Margaret Brown. Tell them again, Mom. When is the graduation? May 18th. That's right, Dr. Jamie. I am not doing this for a grade any longer, but learning will continue because the community that I'm engaged in, my community and sisters, they forever are pushing. We are forever pushing each other to continue learning. So yeah, it will be continued, but my grandmother, my mom, they had me in school since about 3 years old, and I am not doing it anymore. It is time for me to bring forth, to birth forth. I have worked for it. I have done the learning. I have put in the time. I have gotten the credentials. It is time for me to do the work. And so my coach told me, unless they are asking you to lead a session or to train, it's time for you to build your platform. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've already put the 2 sticks of butter in here, and now I'm going to add the margarine. Now the key, I do know that the key to these cakes is to, as they say, let it mix real well. Let it mix real well. Let it do what it needs to do. Let it do what it needs to do. May 18th. That's okay, Margaret Brown. I got it. May 18th. We got it. Whatever it is, we're going to be there. We are going to be there. So, the Preacher's Academy. Now, the question comes that I've been getting, is this just for women? Can men come? Is it just for black people? Is it just for Baptists? No, it is not. No, it is not. But what I am clear on, what I do have clarity on is my tribe, or those who over the years have rocked with me, have come to me, that I have already engaged in training, that I have already engaged in coaching. I know the idea, what they call the ideal client. My ideal client, although now somebody called me on this the other day, said, so what does that mean? Because her age is less than my ideal client. But again, it doesn't mean that I'm only open to this group of people, but it does mean that when I am thinking about things and when I'm developing things, this is going to be the picture of the kind of person who will benefit most, or who comes to me, or who follows me for training, for coaching, or for talking to. So, and that is a black woman. My ideal client, my ideal student is a black woman. Does that mean that women from other ethnic groups cannot come? No, it does not. But what it does mean is that my ideal client is a black woman. Welcome, Dr. Mary Whitney Moss, my spiritual mom, my my mentor, the one who keeps me straight. Do y'all know what? Some people call me Mary Jr. because we got so many of the same ways, but she is always real clear. Talking about clarity tonight. We're talking about clarity tonight, that she's the mom and I'm the daughter. Welcome, Donald. So glad that you made it tonight. So listen, a black woman between the ages of about 50 to 70. Between the ages of 50 to 70. Now, I don't know why, but when I look at my analytics, when I look at those who tend to follow me on social media, or who've come to my classes or come to my coaching sessions or engage me, they tend to be 50 to 70 years old. 50 to 70 years old. I don't know why. I don't know why they tend to, I see you laughing, Bianca. What is that all, what is that all about? They tend to be about 50 to 70 years old. Now, it could also be because I fall in that age group. A black woman, 50 to 70 years old, and ironically, even though I'm not married, the women who tend to come my way, or who are attracted to my teaching or my training, or who benefits for what I have to say, tend to be married women. They tend to be married women. Now, so now I have done the 2 sticks of butter, 1 stick of margarine, and now I am adding 3 cups. No, I'm not adding 3 cups of sugar. I'm getting ready to add my Philadelphia cream cheese. I'm about to mess up live. I am about to mess up live. I am about to add 1 8-ounce block of Philadelphia cream cheese. I almost made a mistake messing around with my sister laughing at me. So I am adding my Philadelphia cream cheese, because this is a Philadelphia cream cheese cake. So she's about 50 to 70 years old. She's married. And ironically, catch this. I don't know if it's ironic, but I do know why it's ironic. She tends to be, I have a lot who are either married to preachers, or to, yeah, I got it. That cream cheese is next. I almost missed that cream cheese over here, but I could have gotten it in. I would have just gotten it out of sequence, Donna. She's either married, she's married to preacher or a pastor. Now, why is that? Well, most of the time, if a preacher's wife or a pastor's wife engages me, she is struggling with her call to preach. She is struggling with her call to preach. She is struggling with her call to preach. She has been called to preach, and she's wrestling with it. A lot of times the wrestle is she's in a conservative setting. She's in the South, and the men in her life have said no. Her husband, her father, the pastor, or other religious leaders. They've said no. And so one of the things one of the reasons I think they come to me is because that is my story, and I've been so transparent in telling that story. I've been so transparent in telling that story, so upon hearing that story, they resonate with the pain that I had, the struggle that I had, and so they feel safe to talk to me. They feel safe to engage me in that wrestle, because that was my wrestle. And so coming to me, they know that they have a safe space. I'm going to listen to them and then walk with them without actually telling them what to do. Because I'm never going to tell anybody what to do with their marriage or in their marriage, right? I will tell them that if indeed God has called them to preach, or whatever their calling is, and the calling, if it's not preaching, it's usually something else that that society has said, that the church has said women should not do. Hey, Miss Natasha, welcome to Moo-Moos Mixing and Musing with Coach Sherri. Chaplain Sherri, your community pastor Sherri. Sherri from the 800 block of Mooney Avenue. I am making a Philadelphia cream cheese cake. So she usually comes to me to get clarity in what it is God has called her to. A lot of times they already know, and they already know that it's preaching, but they trying to go around it to come up with something else, because the men in their lives, usually the husband, the pastor, their father, some other religious leader has told her she cannot do it. So she's trying to find a way to do something else. Listen, I get it. I get it. Because I did, right? For a while, I was like, no, I knew that I was called, but it could not be preaching, right? It could not be preaching, because the Bible says that women are to keep silent in the church, or they should not, lead men and all these things. So certainly I could not be doing that. So when I did go to the pastor, I said, listen, God has called me to teach. So I get it. We try to find ways around that thing not to say it. But my pastor, I always would give him credit, because he asked me the next question. What is God calling you to? We don't ask that next question. When a person says that they have been called, I've been called to ministry. Well, the next thing we know is that they are preaching their first sermon. They are in the pulpit. They are doing their then next thing you know, they're being installed and they're a pastor. But nobody asks if they have been called to preach, if they have been called to prison ministry, parking lot ministry, hospital. Nobody asked the next question. They just simply said, I've been called, and the church, particularly the black church, sends them right to the pulpit. Sends them right to the pulpit, and it usually is a disaster, because that's not where they are supposed to be. So we a lot of time when these black women, ages 50 to 70, married women who are in traditional church settings from the South, they tend to be Baptist. I don't know if that's just because that's my context, or we are really struggling in the Black Baptist church in the South, and I think that's probably a lot of it. Well, thank you, Natasha. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I see y'all. I see y'all talking about my setup game. You can't never case Sherri from the 800 block of Mooney Avenue. You can't never case Sherri from the 800 block of Mooney Avenue. And so, again, I don't tell anybody what to do in their marriage. I do tell them if God has indeed called you, you will have to do it. That God will not allow you to not do it. So we can talk about ways of navigating because it's due to patriarchy. It's due to patriarchy. It's due to misinterpretation of text or interpreting text that uphold patriarchy. Or it is, there are just certain gender roles that we think that, or society or the church has said that women should be. And the pulpit is not one of them. The pulpit is not one of them because particularly in the black church, the pulpit is a seat of power. The pulpit is a seat of power. And certainly women ought not have power based upon patriarchal views, systems, and practices. So if you're just coming in, would you please like, share, tag with your circle, clique, or your crew? Welcome again to Moo-Moos. Moo-Moos. Got my grandma's moo-moo on. My grandmother was as she called, a slender woman, and I am finally able to get into some of her stuff that was left for me. She was a very fashionable woman. My grandmother would have fashion shows for herself. She would just model in the house. And you want to know about me taking pictures? I did not steal it. I did not steal it. I got it honest from my grandmother. All of the women in our family. My mom loves to take pictures. We just read it. So welcome to Moo-Moos mixing and also musing. So now I think it's time for us to add the sugar. Hey Stephanie, I'm making one of Miss Xander's Philadelphia cream cheese cakes. So now I am adding the sugar. And I am adding it a little bit at a time because that's what Miss Xander's told us to do. So in the Preachers Academy, we will help women, particularly black women, and because I'm Black Baptist, I got some alliterations, and I got the C's that I'm working with in this Preachers Academy. Let me make sure that I get my paper so I can say them right. So in the Preachers Academy, we're going to help to bring clarity to one's call, credence to one's voice, confidence in one's intellect, and competence in contextual preaching and biblical interpretation. That's what we're going to be offering, or that's my goal. That's the mission of the Preachers Academy. And the way we're going to do that is through classes, individual coaching, group coaching. So I'm adding my sugar as I am making. Oh yes, Natasha, if it's one thing, I can work a word. I'll stay up all night getting that alliteration together. And then if I can't get one word right with the letter that I'm working with, I'll just start all over. And that the thesaurus is your best friend when you're working with alliterations. And plus it helps me to remember. It helps me to remember. So I'm going to let that mix a while to get that sugar down pat. So that's what I'm going to be doing with the Preachers Academy. come for sure. August may do something before, but there's a whole lot to do. Working with branding and marketing. Oh, I'm excited. I am excited because that's what happens when you have clarity. When you have clarity, then things could just roll. But before, I was kind of like all over the place, offering this, offering that, based upon what other people thought that I should be doing or that I was good at, and perhaps I am good at it, but I needed to bring it in a little bit. And so that is what I've done. I've gotten clarity. And so that's one of the things we are going to do in the Preachers Academy is to develop courses and training around how do you get trained, how do you know? And how do you know? And so that course is going to be called, I've been called, or God is talking to me, or God has called me, but what did he say? Or what did God say? God has called me, but what did God say? Right? That's to bring clarity. And then credence to one's voice, to make sure that everyone knows and uses their authentic voice, right? So I've told you that Dr. Moss is my mentor, my spiritual mom, but guess what? I don't have her voice. We don't have the same voice, and I'm not talking about the vocal cords of what comes out of my mouth. I'm talking about, when I speak of voice, I'm talking about the totality of who you are, how you show up in the world, right? As much as we may be alike, we are different. Why we're different? We're different in age. We're different in geography. We are different in experiences. We are different in education. We are different in social status. We are different in marital status. We are different in when it comes to children or not, right? And so her voice is going to be different from my voice. And my voice is going to be different from someone else's voice who lives in another state, who is in another religious or circle. Why? Because we are a composite of all kinds of things, right? Race, geography, gender, social status, education, where we fit in our family, we're middle child, oldest, baby, whatever. All of that put together gives you your voice of how you show up in the world. Hello, Demetria, so glad to see you tonight. I am making Miss Xander's Philadelphia cream cheese cake. I've already put in 2 sticks of butter, 1 stick of margarine, 1 8-ounce block of Philadelphia cream cheese cake, and my 3 cups of sugar. So I'm just going to let that mix a little bit. While we move on to the second item on the agenda. Now this item, I did not know that it was going to catch so much buzz. I didn't know it was going to catch so much buzz. And do you know what that is? Sunday, I did a post about Boaz versus Joseph, or Joseph versus Boaz. I said, let's forget this idea about I want a Boaz, right? Women who are confident and secure, and God has given them an assignment that is beyond the norms, or pushes the boundary, or pushes the envelope. Don't need no Boaz. We need a Joseph. What day next week am I cooking that red velvet cake? Now you have come back around to the red velvet cake, Bianca. I have moved on. I don't know. It may come through the weekend because I'm just realizing that if I do this on Tuesday night, it's going to be after Thanksgiving. So maybe we'll do the red velvet cake Saturday or Sunday. Saturday or Sunday, just for the holiday. We're talking about Boaz and Joseph, right? And so we have heard sermons, you know. You don't want no broke ass, dead ass, and you know, but you're looking for a Boaz, and we have misinterpreted that text. And second of all, Ruth was not doing anything out of the ordinary. She needed Boaz to save her. She needed Boaz to redeem her. She needed Boaz to rescue her, right? So she was in the norm of what she was doing, right? And some scholars believe that Naomi really pimped Ruth out, right? Because if Ruth was saved, then that meant that Naomi was saved. So no, I'm not looking for Boaz. I'm not looking for anybody to rescue me. I'm not looking for somebody to redeem me, to save me. I'm not looking for Boaz. But because of the assignment that God has called me, because of what God has called me to do, that pushes the boundary of the kitchen and the bedroom, or the places that society or patriarchy says that women should be, I'm not looking for Boaz. A Boaz won't work for me. A Joseph will work for me. Can I get a witness? Joseph, here's why I said that, and I'm just kind of like repeating. You'll have to go back to my previous videos. That video was shared, and my post was shared like 10 times, right? It was 10 times. I'm like, whoa. And because you know why? It resonated with so many people. The reason why some women are struggling in their call is because they are looking for a Boaz and not a Joseph. Now, hear me out. Joseph definitely lived and upheld patriarchal views. He was in that work. It was just a part of the work. He was already arranged to marry Mary. The angel disrupted Mary and told her that she was pregnant with a baby. She's engaged, and she could face death if it was found that she was not a virgin on their wedding night. She's as good as married to him. They just needed to go to the courthouse, because this engagement period was a long period, and even though she still was at her dad's house, her family's house, no doubt the dowry had been was paid and all of that stuff. But here's what I believe happened, Bianca. I believe that God worked on Joseph. It's not that Joseph was anything special, just like there was nothing special with Mary except God chose her. I believe that God silenced Joseph. God dealt with Joseph. And Joseph offered grace to Mary by not taking her to the city gates. He was kind to her. He did not do what he could have done based upon the law. That's important, because many men, church men, who uphold that patriarchy are not willing to go up against their boys or the system, and I know that I'm walking on heavy ground, they're not willing to go up against a system when their wives tell them that they have been called to preach or that they have been called to do something that goes against the grain. How do I know this? I've experienced it, and those women who come to me, this is what they're struggling with. Their husbands would rather have a first lady than a wife who's a preacher. And so they reject, they prohibit, and in some cases, they give the wife an ultimatum. So God worked on Joseph and silenced Joseph. And when he did open his mouth, he did not speak against her, and he did not speak about her. He got with the program, and no doubt he still had to face the people. He still had to face the people. But sometimes what I'm finding is when the husband does not, he's trying to come up in the ranks. He's trying to get a position or hold on to a position. He would rather have a first lady than a wife. And many times the wife trying to be obedient to the husband in the church ends up being disobedient to God. Ends up being disobedient to God. What do you do? So, this isn't about bashing. I'm stating the truth. I'm stating my truth, and I'm stating the truth of many women who have been called to preach or have been called to do something that goes against the grain. And so they end up miserable. They end up miserable. And so that's why I say, I want a Joseph. Forget Boaz. I don't need rescuing. I don't need redeeming. I don't need someone to save me or to be my savior. That's already taken care of. I need a Joseph. One who will walk with me. One who would partner with me as I do what I'm called to do. You do what you're called to do. He does what he calls to do, but you're not. But you don't have the desire or even the thought process that you got to stop me. Anybody? I don't see any comments or anything. So maybe I'm out here on a limb by myself, but that's what I don't see any other way. I don't see any other way. If you're looking for a Boaz, go ahead on and do that. If you need somebody to save you, to redeem you, to rescue you, to be your kinsman redeemer, go ahead on and get that. But, number one, that's not what that text talks about. We'll talk about that later. But those women, like myself and so many others, need someone who can handle the assignment. Who can handle the assignment that God has given me. It took me too long to get here, so I am not going backwards. Can I get a witness? Can I get a witness? Natasha Robinson, I think I got one. I think I got one. Pray for me, Bianca. So it's in. Joyce Darden, so glad to see you tonight. All right, so we've gotten this Philadelphia cream cheese going cake tonight. Welcome if this is your first time joining me in anything. This is Moo-Moos Mixing. This is Mixing and Musing with Sherri. So, we've got 2 sticks of butter. We've got 1 stick of margarine. We've got 1 8-ounce block of Philadelphia cream cheese, and we have 3 cups of sugar. So now I'm going to add, I'm going to have, no, it's nothing wrong with having one if that's what you want. If that's what you want. If nothing wrong with having a Boaz if that's what you want. But based upon the scripture, Boaz was Ruth's savior. He was a rescuer. He was someone who was saving her. That's not what I'm looking for. So, but if that's what you want and that's what you need, then by all means, there is somebody for someone. But it's going to take a Joseph, one who is not intimidated by the assignment that God has called me. Now, Bianca, we are back on the red velvet cake. Oh my gosh, my God, girl. Shipping with Sarah, because I need some of these good dishes. $12.29. Y'all kidding me? Y'all must have missed a disclaimer. Y'all must have missed a disclaimer that I'm not an expert baker. That I'm not an expert baker. I said at the top, right? Don't follow me for no expertise in baking. I said that at the beginning, and now y'all putting in putting in requests like y'all putting in prayer requests. What is this? What is this here? What in the world is this? All right, I'm putting in my eggs. Bianca, we'll talk. We will talk. We will talk. So now I'm putting in my eggs. I put in, I'm using 6 eggs. I put in 2, and you put them in 1 at a time. I tell y'all something else. Y'all say I do too much, and then you want me to do too much. I don't know how to please y'all. This is wonderful because I ain't looking for an extra. I'm looking for you, like Boaz. I'm looking for you. Girl, you some Natasha, you are too much. We shall see. We shall see. All my friends are something else. My friends, my community is something else. I don't know what I would do without y'all. How have I been living all these years? How have I been living? Y'all, Attorney Esquire Natasha L. Robinson is too much. She say she looking for your ass. All right, so we're gonna just let this. We're gonna let this here. These eggs do some more. We're gonna let these eggs do some more. And then after the eggs, we're going to do 3 cups of flour. 3 cups of flour. Now, again, this is Swan's Down cake flour. Swan's Down cake flour. I might use off-brand butter and sugar, but I'm going to stick with Swan's Down cake flour. So that's what I got to say about Joseph versus Boaz. The final thing on the agenda tonight is, on my agenda, unless y'all have something else, it seems like this red velvet cake is a topic of discussion. It has made the docket for tonight. It has made the docket for tonight. So anyway, I don't fool. I may mess with generic butter or sugar, but not the flour. Let me tell y'all something. Back in the day when we was working, I was working with Ms. Zanders, and we were cooking. The best cake came from that block butter, that commodity butter, baby. Ms. Zanders, we would be hustling commodity butter all over the place. We would be hustling commodity butter all over the place because it will be so that commodity butter will make some good cakes. That commodity butter will make good cakes, and that commodity cheese will make the best macaroni and cheese. Now, Joyce Darton, are we related? Because my grandmother is a Darton. All of my family, the Dartons, out of California. Most of them out of California. Are we related and I don't know it? Thank you. So have you shared, like, tagged somebody, brought somebody in this here? Somebody that's not looking for a master baker, that they just want to be entertained. Government butter, baby. Government butter, ain't nothing like it. Government butter, nothing like it. All right, so you see that consistency with that those eggs? That's pretty good. You see that? Kind of like fluffy, like, yeah. All right. Woo. So now we're going to get these 3 cups of Swan's Down flour. A little at a time. So, Mary's song. Through the season of Advent, I have been doing morning reflections where I do makeup. And I have a disclaimer. Do not follow me for techniques, for tools, for products, or anything. I'm just doing my makeup while I get dressed in the morning. And so I have been doing a reflection, a morning reflection based upon the devotional showing Mary that was created and developed by Dr. Michelle Guidry Stewart. And we have followed Mary's journey from the time that the angel told her about her situation, as they say in the South, and about her situation. Hello, Miss Ella King. Okay, well, wait a minute now, Josh. We're going to have to talk because my grandmother, father came out of the Carolinas, and we don't know. He was the only one who left to come down to Louisiana and Mississippi, but he did have sisters and brothers that my grandmother did not know about. So I would love to just talk to you and hear some of your family story, and then look at some of your people because they all look alike. But anyway, welcome, Miss Ella. I'm making a Philadelphia cream cheesecake. I know you know what you're doing. So I've been following Mary's journey from the time that the angel interrupted her, which we call a divine interruption or divine disruption. Do you know that that's the first call? Do you know that that's the first call? When we know that God is up to something and calling up, God always seems to disrupt our agenda. We're just going about doing our job. I was just going about being a journalist, right? I was just going about being the best news reporter that I could be. And there was a divine disruption that changed the course of my life. Mary, like Jeremiah and like Moses, Mary had her own call narrative, right? Those preachers who are listening to me, you know about the call narrative story, right? She had her own call narrative. There are about five parts to a call narrative, right? The first is that there is a divine interruption. There is some type of divine call, like God's with Moses, right? He gets Moses' attention. And he does it in such a miraculous way with this burning bush. And it is with Mary that this angel comes, right? And then there is the interruption, and then there is the commissioning. This is what your task is. For Moses was, you're going to lead my people out of Egypt. You're going to deliver my people. For Mary is, you are going to bear a son. You are going to bear a son. And then the third part of that narrative, the third part of the call narrative, and the preachers on here, you can get it. Think about your own call. There is an objection. There is an objection. Thank you, Miss Ella. Thank you. What was the objection for Moses? Moses' objection was, no, I can't talk. Mary's objection is, or was, how can this be? I'm a virgin. How can this be? I'm engaged. So there is an objection. Well, what is your objection? I'm a girl. I'm a woman. The Bible says. The people won't let me. The preacher says. I don't want to, right? There is an objection. What was your objection? What was the excuse you gave when God called you to whatever God called you to? We all have a call story. And we all have an objection. I don't want to do this. Let somebody else do it, right? For Mary is, how can this be so? And then there is an assurance. That God gives an assurance that this is going to take place. And the assurance for Mary was, I'll be with you. And the fifth part of the story of the call narrative is the acceptance. She said, let it be so. Think about your own call story. What was your objection? What was the commissioning or the task that God gave you? And when did you finally accept it? When did you finally accept it? So Mary is a lowly servant. That's how she started out. How can you do it? How can you be calling me? I don't even have the right pedigree. I don't even have the right education. I don't even have the right credentials. I have not even come out of the right family. How could you call me? Mary described herself as a lowly servant. But by the time she got to she had been with Elizabeth, and she had stayed with Elizabeth for about 3 months or so, in community with Elizabeth, being encouraged, being nurtured. She came to herself. She gave in to what God was calling her to, and she began to see herself not as a lowly servant, but she began to see herself as God saw her. And how was that? A favored one. She had made the transition. She had accepted what God saw in her. She saw herself as the lowly servant. God saw her as a favored one. Sometimes we have to see ourselves. Yes, Miss Eller. Sometimes we feel so inadequate, afraid to step out for the challenge. Yes, indeed. I know exactly what you are talking about. We do feel that. And that's why we have to go to someone or be in community with someone like Mary went to Elizabeth, somebody who can encourage her and to strengthen her so that she can get to the place that she can step out. So now I'm ready to add the flavor. So when Ms. Anders taught me this recipe, we used 1 tablespoon of vanilla butternut flavor. 1 tablespoon of vanilla butternut flavor. But guess what? They don't sell vanilla and butternut flavor. So what did I do? After I tried to order from Amazon and couldn't find it anymore, and then I did see these stores, but this is how you substitute. These are the flavors that you get to substitute to make vanilla butternut flavoring. But McCormick has replaced the vanilla butternut with something called cake batter flavoring extract. And they say it's the same thing. I haven't used it, but I do know the substitution. And so that's what I've been using, is the substitution. So vanilla butternut is made up of almond, butter, and vanilla. And so to get my tablespoon, or to get the flavor that I need, I'm to take 1 teaspoon of each one of these flavors. So I'm going to put 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I'll let that go a minute. 1 teaspoon of butter. And 1 teaspoon of almond. This will give me my vanilla butternut flavor. I will eventually try the cake batter to see if it does indeed, but since I had these, and I'm sure these, I did not get that. So welcome everybody. Again, I hope you enjoyed this musing, this Moo-Moos, musing, Moo-Moos, mixing, and musing with Coach Sherri, Chaplain Sherri, Your community pastor, Sherri, soon to be Dr. Sherri, Sherri from the 800 block of Mooney Avenue. So I'm going to let that do, and then I'm going to prepare my pan. This is my cake pan. I hold on to dear life of these. I have about 3 of them because it's hard to find this kind. I don't like the kind that has the pull out. So it's been hard to find these. I have a couple of them. I got a couple from Ms. Xander's. And I looked up and found 1 or 2 on eBay. So as my cake is doing its final thing, I'm going to spray my pan with Baker's Joy. No longer do we have to use the Miss Ella. You remember when you had to take the lard and the paper towel and get it all in the creases in the crannies of the cake pan. You had to do that. And then take that flour and shake it and all of that kind of stuff. Baby, when I found out about Baker's Joy, you can't tell me nothing. Okay, so I just kind of like spray that all around, get it all sprayed in there so it won't fall. So if you're just joining me, I am making a Philadelphia cream cheese cake tonight. I promised someone a cake, and tonight I have to make it happen. And so that's what I'm doing. Ooh, it smells good. It smells good. And you still do, Miss Ella? The only time I will is if I don't have no Baker's Joy. And then I don't have any lard at home or Crisco, so I end up having to just run to the store. Yeah, Natasha. Yeah, that's a memory right there. That's a memory right there. So I'm going to stop this a minute so I can taste it to see if it got the taste that I want. Got the taste that I want. I'm going to let it go a little bit more. And then I'm going to be ready to pour. Now, this cake is a slow cake, cook. And I start out with a cold oven. I don't warm the oven. At 325, and it takes about 75 minutes. About 75 minutes. Y'all remember when they used to take a piece of the, now I know the city folk didn't do this up north, but down here in the south they used to take a little bit of the broom, take a piece of that broom and stick it in to see if the cake was ready. But now I know how to touch it and make sure if it's got a bounce in it or not to know whether or not it's ready. You remember when you couldn't run in the house because the cake might fall? Yeah, all of those things. So I'm going to let this go a minute, and then I'm going to, hey, Miss Wanda Gilmore, I'm making a Philadelphia cream cheese cake. I have not forgotten about you. So glad to see you tonight. Yes, a broom straw. That's exactly right. I said stick, but a broom straw. So I'm going to prepare to put this in the pan and let it cook for about 75 minutes at 325 degrees, and it should be ready. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been a blessing. I've enjoyed it. Thank you for keeping me company in my first installment of Moo-Moos. Moo-Moos. Y'all remember the Moo-Moos? Mixing, and musing with Chaplain Sherri, Coach Sherri. Your community pastor Sherri, soon to be Dr. Sherri, and Sherri from the 800 block of Mooney Avenue. Hey, Miss Stephanie, Dr. Stephanie. Hey, Cheryl. So good to see you. I'm making Miss Xander's Philadelphia cream cheese cake. These are my, Cheryl is my classmate, and we just celebrated our 40th year class reunion and had an amazing time. It was so good to see you. Yeah, Wanda, that broom straw. We know how to make a way out of no way. So listen, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the pan, and I'm going to sign off for tonight. Thank you so much. If this has blessed you, please go ahead on and still share, because I think I've dropped a lot of information in here, and it's just a good time. May all be well with your day.